Germany after World War I. Picture a sad trombone sound effect. The country was in shambles, the economy was devastated, and the people were struggling to find hope in the midst of all the chaos. The economy? In the toilet. Businesses were closing left and right, unemployment was skyrocketing, and the future looked bleak. People were desperate for a change, for something or someone to lift them out of this despair. Morale? Lower than a snake's belly. The war had left deep scars, not just on the landscape, but on the hearts and minds of the people. They needed a beacon of hope, a reason to believe that things could get better. People needed something to believe in. They needed a hero, someone who could promise them a brighter future, someone who could restore their faith in their country and themselves. Enter, stage left, a certain mustachioed man with some very strong opinions. This man saw an opportunity in the chaos, a chance to rise to power by promising the people what they so desperately wanted. You know who I'm talking about. Adolf Hitler. He presented himself as the savior of Germany, the one who could restore its former glory and lead it to a new era of prosperity. This guy, let's call him Voldy, had a plan that was as cunning as it was sinister. He knew that to gain the people's support, he needed to offer them something tangible, something that would improve their daily lives. A terrible, horrible, no good, very bad plan. But within this dark and twisted vision, there was a glimmer of something that would capture the imagination of the masses. But also, nestled in amongst the fascism and xenophobia, a surprisingly decent car idea. A car that would be affordable, reliable, and accessible to the average German family.
See, I loved cars. I thought everyone should have one. I believed that a car could symbolize freedom, progress, and a better future. It was a vision that resonated with many people at the time. I was basically the Henry Ford of fascism. And no, that's not a compliment. I wanted to revolutionize the automotive industry in Germany, just as Ford had done in America.
So Voldy, in between plotting world domination, decided Germany needed a people's car. A car that would be a symbol of national pride and technological advancement. Affordable, reliable, and able to transport a family and their picnic basket at a brisk pace, presumably to a picnic blanket strategically placed away from any minorities. It was a vision that promised a better life for the average German family. Thus, the stage was set for the Volkswagen we know and, well, know. A car that would become an iconic symbol of both innovation and a dark chapter in history. The story of the Volkswagen is a reminder of how even the most seemingly benign ideas can be born out of the most sinister intentions. Now, Voldy might have had grand visions of affordable automobiles, but he wasn't exactly known for his mechanical skills. His dreams of a car for the masses were more about propaganda than practicality. He envisioned a vehicle that every German family could afford, a symbol of national pride and technological prowess. But let's be real, he was more of a dictator with delusions of grandeur than a hands-on inventor. He was more of a yelling at clouds kind of leader. His speeches were filled with grandiose promises and fervent nationalism, but when it came to the nitty-gritty of engineering, he was out of his depth. His role was more about rallying the masses, and less about getting his hands dirty with grease and gears. Enter Ferdinand Porsche, an actual car guy. Porsche was a visionary engineer with a knack for innovation. He had a deep understanding of automotive mechanics and a passion for creating efficient, reliable vehicles. His expertise was exactly what the project needed to move from fantasy to reality. You know, the Porsche guy? Yes, the same Porsche whose name would later become synonymous with luxury sports cars. But back then, he was focused on designing a car that was both practical and affordable. A vehicle that could be mass-produced and accessible to the average citizen.
I was a talented engineer, and I designed a car that was both innovative and oddly adorable. The design was unlike anything else on the road at the time. It had a unique, rounded shape that was not only aesthetically pleasing, but also functional. The car's curves reduced air resistance, making it more aerodynamic and fuel efficient. Rounded like a beetle, it was aerodynamic in a way that boxy cars of the time simply weren't. This design choice was revolutionary, setting the Beetle apart from its contemporaries. It was a car that looked different, performed better, and captured the imagination of the public. It was also rear-engined and air-cooled, which, while mechanically ingenious, would later become the butt of many a "it's in the shop again" joke. The rear-engine layout provided better traction and stability, while the air-cooled engine was simpler and more reliable than the water-cooled engines of the time. However, these features also came with their own set of challenges and quirks.
This, ladies and gentlemen, was the KDF wagon, later to be known as the Beetle. The KDF wagon was more than just a car. It was a symbol of the Nazi regime's promises of prosperity and progress. It was intended to be the people's car, a vehicle that would bring the benefits of modern technology to the masses. It was supposed to be the car for everyone, as long as everyone fit a very specific Aryan profile. The car was marketed as a symbol of Aryan superiority and was heavily featured in Nazi propaganda. It was a tool for promoting the regime's ideals and reinforcing its vision of a homogeneous, racially pure society. And by affordable, they meant you had to pay in advance and might not actually get the car, because, war and genocide and whatnot. The reality was far from the promises made. Many people paid into the program but never received their cars, as resources were diverted to the war effort. The dream of a car for the people was overshadowed by the horrors of the regime that created it. The factory to produce this wonder car was built in rural Germany, a place now called Wolfsburg. It was all very idyllic, except for, the whole forced labor thing. Yeah, it turns out building cars for the Third Reich wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. During World War II, the factory was primarily used to churn out military vehicles. Think Kubelwagens, those weird Jeep-looking things Nazis drove in war movies. The people's car took a back seat to, actual tanks.
Ironically, the war that delayed the Beetles' debut would ultimately contribute to its success. By the end of the war, Germany was, to put it mildly, a bit of a fixer-upper. The Volkswagen factory, against all odds, was relatively intact. It was also filled with unused car parts.
And that, my friends, is where our story takes a surprisingly uplifting turn. Section 4. From tanks to trundling, a British guy saves the day. Enter Major Ivan Hurst, a British Army officer tasked with, among other things, not letting the Volkswagen factory fall into the wrong hands.
Hurst, bless his cotton socks, saw potential in the rubble. He recognized the Beetle wasn't just some Nazi fever dream, it was a damn good car.
Hurst got the factory up and running again, this time with the much more ethical labor practice of, paying people. He even convinced the British Army to order a bunch of Beetles, kickstarting production. Talk about a hostile takeover.
Under Hurst's leadership, the Volkswagen factory went from producing weapons of war to, vehicles for peace-loving hippies. It was the automotive equivalent of turning swords into plowshares, except in this case it was more like turning panzer tanks into adorable little bugs.
Section 5, Peace, Love, and Bugs. The Beetle finds its groove. The post-war years were a time of rebuilding, both for Germany and the world. And what better symbol of resilience and optimism than a quirky little car that refused to die? The Beetle, with its affordable price and surprising durability, those air-cooled engines could survive a nuclear apocalypse, I swear, became a global sensation. It helped that the car was aggressively marketed as the anti-establishment alternative to big gas-guzzling American cars. This resonated particularly well with a certain counterculture movement in the 1960s. Suddenly, the car designed under the watchful eye of a fascist dictator was the chariot of choice for peace-loving hippies. Irony, thy name is Volkswagen. Section 6. From humble beginnings to global domination and some scandal. The Beetle's success paved the way for Volkswagen's global expansion. This small, quirky car captured the hearts of millions around the world. It wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of freedom, individuality, and a post-war era of optimism. People from all walks of life found something to love in the Beetle, whether it was its unique design, its reliability, or its affordability. The Beetle became more than just a mode of transportation. It became a cultural icon. They introduced new models like the transporter van, the one your cool uncle with the Grateful Dead sticker used to drive. This van wasn't just a vehicle, it was a lifestyle. It represented the counterculture movement of the 1960s and 70s, a time when people were seeking freedom and adventure on the open road. The transporter van became synonymous with road trips, music festivals, and a sense of community among its owners. And later, the Golf, which became another iconic model. The Golf was a game-changer in the automotive world. It combined practicality with performance, making it a favorite among drivers who wanted a car that could do it all. Whether you were commuting to work, taking a weekend getaway, or just running errands around town, the Golf was up to the task. Its versatility and reliability made it a staple in the Volkswagen lineup. Volkswagen was on a roll. The company continued to innovate and expand, introducing new models and technologies that kept them at the forefront of the automotive industry. Their commitment to quality and customer satisfaction helped them build a loyal following of fans and customers around the world. Of course, no good story is without a little scandal. Volkswagen's journey hasn't been without its bumps in the road. The company has faced its fair share of challenges and controversies over the years, but perhaps none as significant as the Dieselgate scandal. In 2015, Volkswagen found itself in hot water over Dieselgate, a scandal that rocked the automotive industry and damaged the company's reputation. The scandal involved the company installing software in their diesel engines that could detect when emissions tests were being conducted and alter the performance to meet regulatory standards, where they were caught cheating on emissions tests. This deception allowed their cars to emit pollutants far above the legal limits while appearing to be environmentally friendly. The fallout from Dieselgate was immense, leading to billions of dollars in fines, legal settlements, and a significant loss of consumer trust. Turns out those clean diesel cars weren't so clean after all. Whoops! The scandal served as a wake-up call for the entire industry, highlighting the need for greater transparency and accountability in emissions testing and environmental standards.
Despite the occasional bump in the road, pun intended, Volkswagen has managed to weather the storm. The company has taken significant steps to address the issues raised by Dieselgate, including investing in electric vehicle technology and committing to more sustainable practices. Volkswagen remains one of the largest automakers in the world. Their ability to adapt and innovate has allowed them to stay relevant in an ever-changing industry. From electric vehicles to autonomous driving technology, Volkswagen continues to push the boundaries of what's possible in the automotive world. From its dark and twisted origins to its global domination, Volkswagen's story is one of resilience and reinvention. The company has come a long way from its early days, overcoming numerous challenges and controversies to become a leader in the automotive industry. The company's journey is a testament to the fact that even the worst ideas, looking at you, Voldy, can sometimes lead to surprisingly good outcomes. Volkswagen's ability to learn from its mistakes and continuously improve has been key to its success. Just try not to think about it too much. The next time you see a Volkswagen on the road, remember the incredible journey this company has been on. From humble beginnings to global domination, and yes, even a bit of scandal, Volkswagen's story is a fascinating one.